You know how it is. Every single day, your time just vanishes. You wake up, you scroll, you work, you rush, you collapse. But what if all those small, seemingly random things you do every day aren't random at all? What if they're actually choices that are steering the entire direction of your life? It's time we asked a really tough question.
So I want you to just pause for a second and ask yourself this. Take a quick, honest look at your day. Are the things you do on autopilot without even thinking actually building the life you want, or are they slowly, silently tearing it all down? Because right now, every single one of us is walking down one of two paths.
On one side, you've got the path of reaction. This is life on autopilot, and believe me, it leads to fragility and misery. But on the other side, you have the path of intention. This is about living with purpose, and it builds fulfillment and real strength. Now, the crazy thing is, most of the time, we don't even realize which path we're on. So today, we're going to shine a light on both, and we're going to start with a satirical guide to the first path.
That's right. If your goal isn't to be the fittest, smartest, or most disciplined version of yourself, then you have come to the right place. We are about to walk through a guaranteed masterclass in how to cultivate a life of pure misery.
Okay, here are the 5 core strategies. They're simple, they're easy, and you might even find you're already an expert at some of them. First up, consume constantly. Second, turn yourself into an island. Third, let your emotions be your master. Fourth, completely neglect your body and your mind. And last but not least, let fear be your guide. Let's kick things off with the first and maybe the easiest one.
Let's really dig into step 1. The whole key here is to make sure your brain never has a quiet moment to actually think or create. So consume everything. We're talking fast food, sugar, endless social media feeds of people with seemingly perfect lives. Drown yourself in bad news and fill every single spare second with TV shows. The ultimate goal? To never ever be alone with your own thoughts.
All right, on to step 2. Look, humans are social animals. We're built to live in groups. So one of the fastest, most effective routes to unhappiness is to isolate yourself. Build that island, put up a fence, close the door, and convince yourself that scrolling on your phone is a perfectly good substitute for real in-person connection. It's a surprisingly powerful strategy for misery.
Now, to really lock in that feeling of failure, you've got to set the right kind of goals, vapid goals. They need to be vague, amorphous, pie in the sky, irrelevant, and delayed. See, by setting yourself up with these impossible, fuzzy goals, you're basically programming your brain to feel a constant nagging sense of disappointment. It is a surefire way to just chip away at your self-worth.
Okay, this satirical guide might seem like a bit of a joke, but this quote from the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, it reveals the profound truth behind it all. You become what you give your attention to. If you don't intentionally choose what you focus on, someone else will choose for you. And this isn't just ancient philosophy, it's literally rooted in how our brains are wired. And that brings us to the science of why we get so easily trapped.
So in this next part, we're going to look at the cognitive science that explains why living on autopilot, on that path of reaction, why it feels so natural. This isn't your fault, it's just how your brain is designed to work.
So the first big idea here is something called attention residue. Think about it like this. Every time you switch from one task to another, even for a split second to check a notification, your brain doesn't just instantly move on. A piece of your attention gets left behind, stuck on the last thing you were doing. And this leftover mental noise is silently destroying your ability to focus deeply on anything.
And this is not a small thing. I mean, researchers from Harvard and Stanford found that the average person loses over 40% of their daily productivity to this effect. 40%. That's almost half your day gone. Not from laziness, but just from scattering your focus. You're busy all day, but that residue means you're really operating at just over half your potential.
This brings us to the great myth of multitasking. Let's just be brutally honest here. Your brain can't do 2 complex things at the same time. It just can't. What we call multitasking is actually your brain switching back and forth really, really fast. It burns through your mental energy faster than almost anything else, which is why you can feel completely exhausted at the end of a busy day, but feel like you got nothing truly important done.
And finally, there's the Zeigarnik effect. This is the reason you're lying in bed at night, staring at the ceiling, thinking about work. Your brain is hardwired to keep replaying incomplete tasks over and over again, keeping that mental tab open because it's afraid you'll forget. It's a huge drain on your energy. But here's the good news. By understanding these cognitive traps, we can start building systems to fight back. And that's exactly what our second path is all about.
So how do we get off that path of reaction and onto the path of intention?
Well, it's not about magically finding more time, it's about finding more clarity. Here is a practical, science-backed framework for building a more fulfilling life.
First things first, forget those massive to-do lists with 20 items on them. They just don't work. The science is clear, our brains can only really hold 3 to 4 meaningful goals in our working memory at any given time. Go beyond that and your focus just fractures. So the big takeaway here is this: plan only 3 priorities per day. That's it. This is your first tool, the rule of 3.
And here's what those 3 priorities should look like. 1 big priority, your deep work. This is the thing that really moves your life forward. Then 1 medium priority for maintenance, the practical stuff that keeps your world from falling apart. And finally, 1 small priority for restoration, something that just feeds your soul, even if it's only for 10 minutes. This simple shift helps you stop living reactively and start living intentionally.
Okay, here's a secret that top performers know. The key to staying focused isn't about more discipline, it's about rhythm. Your brain naturally works in these 90-minute waves of high focus. They're called ultradian rhythms, and they're followed by a dip in energy. So the best in the world, they don't grind for hours on end. They work in focus sprints. Don't fight your biology, dance with it. Work hard when your energy is high, then step away and recover.
And all of this is built on a foundation of simple but incredibly powerful habits. Some are about connection, right? Like maintaining real social ties, not just digital ones. Others are about your inner world, like taking 5 minutes to self-reflect, or finally learning how to manage that inner critic that tells you you're not good enough. And some are just about action, putting your phone away to be present, taking care of your health, and making a conscious choice to complain less. These aren't just fluffy, nice ideas. They are the literal building blocks of an intentional life.
You see, the difference between being busy and being fulfilled, it isn't luck, it's clarity. Fulfillment isn't some destination you just arrive at one day. It is the direct result of the small, conscious choices you make day in and day out. So what's your next move?
Here's something that almost nobody talks about, but it's maybe the most important piece of the puzzle. Your brain doesn't actually learn from experience. It learns from reflecting on experience. Without that moment of reflection, every day just blurs into the next. But by taking just a few minutes each night to ask, what did I get done? What did I learn? And what am I going to do differently tomorrow? You strengthen those neural pathways. You literally start to rebuild your brain around your own insights.
So, let's end with this one powerful idea. Every single second you spend is a vote for what matters most to you, whether you realize it or not. You don't need more hours in the day, you just need to own the ones you have. So the only question left is, with your very next action, what will you vote for?